Kristen, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the APM Community Town Hall WebEx presentation. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. I will now turn the call over to your host for today, Manish Parkay. Manish, please go ahead.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our August webcast. Thank you for joining today's Global User Community Webcast. As you all know, I'm the president of the Global Community, and I am accompanied by the board members Keith Palmer and Ashish, and of course our lovely, dedicated, hardworking community manager, Mary Greening. Wanted to make a couple of announcements before we get started, and I can introduce the panelists. Regarding the community webcast raffle, as you all know, every webcast we randomly select one lucky winner, and that winner will be receiving a $100 Amazon gift card, and they will receive a communication from our community email. So keep an eye out for that either later today or tomorrow. Wanted to announce our last month's winner, Cheryl Nelson. Congratulations, Cheryl. She was the lucky winner of the gift card. Our next webcast will be September 18th, and the topic, I think, is going to be update on mobile app analytics. It's going to be presented by Jonathan Lindo. If you haven't been to our newly designed community site lately, please go and check it out, the new platform. It's a huge overhaul, and it's got a lot of cool features, so please definitely check it out. Today's webcast is being recorded and will be posted on the community's webcast archives as well as under the video content. For today's webcast, if you guys have any questions, please use the Q&A panel in the WebEx and not in the chat window. And the presentation should take about 60 minutes or so. We definitely appreciate all the activities on the message board on the communities page, so we do thank you all for your participation. Today's topic is our long overdue town hall meeting with the APM product group. So let me introduce them. We have James Harvey. He's our general manager from CA for the product of APM. Matthew Larray, he's our vice president of product management. And we have Mark Chenet, our principal product manager. And last but not the least, Chris Klein, our advisor to the project management for APM. So I'm going to hand it off to Chris, who will take over and get things started. Chris?
Thanks, Manish. Good day, everybody. We're glad to be with you today. We're coming to you from the Bay Area, and I've got James and Matt sitting here in the room with me, and then Mark Chenet is joining us by phone from Seattle, Washington. So we're going to start this morning. Before we go into any slides or anything, we'd just like to have a little casual conversation here. And so I'd like to kick this off by just asking James. James, you've been with us coming up on a year now. Tell us, what are your big observations? What's the takeaways that you have from the last 11 months?
Yeah, thanks. So this is actually my first town hall, so it's good to be here with our users and customers. Yeah, early observations. You know, it was almost a year ago when our executive management team made the decision to break out APM into its own separate business unit to create more accountability, better execution in the business. I think our executive management team, well, not I think, directly from our CEO, Mike Reguar, he feels that this is an important market and that we needed to do a better job of serving our customers, of having more thought leadership and a longer-term vision in the market, and wanted to see that. So we broke the business unit out, and I guess, you know, early observations are we spent probably the first 6 months getting organized and getting ourselves ready to execute well over the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. Instead of just looking at the next quarter, we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we just move faster? How do we align our skills, our locations? How do we align that model, an engineering model that allows us to drive better product features, to drive better product strategy rather before even the features, to drive better product design, better features, better quality, and to move faster. And so we spent the better part of 6 months doing that, and I've been really pleased. We've built a really strong management team over the past several months. 6 out of my 8 direct reports are new to the team, so we have some new leadership within the team, leaders that come from lots of different backgrounds. Our new head of engineering comes from a company where he ran the 2nd largest SaaS deployment on the planet. We have a new head of product design. He's building out a design team, a proper design team. New head of product marketing, and also new head of product management, Matt LeRae, who's joining us here, and Matt's a former Wiley guy and really understands the market, understands our customers, has his ear close to the street. So a lot of time, if you will, reorganizing, getting ourselves ready to move very quickly in the market, to be very close to our customers, and to start taking back thought leadership in the market.
Thanks. How has that translated into priorities?
Yeah, I would say it was interesting. I did a roadshow my first 3 months, did a roadshow to meet with a number of customers, met with Manish as well. And, in those first 3 months, the feedback was pretty consistent. And that feedback was the following areas. Number one, customers wanted to see us reduce the complexity of the application, what it takes to manage the application, getting out of things like PBD files, right? They wanted to see, other examples might be, the ease of upgrade, the ease of configuration, more automation within the application, whether it's smart instrumentation or other types of features. But all of that was sort of in this category of lowering the complexity of the product and making it easier to manage, making it easier to instrument, making it easier to upgrade. That was one area. The other area was around just the ease of use of the application itself for end users. That's a second area of focus for us that came back from our customers. Catching or really expanding our coverage of modern standards, whether it be, new programming languages, new platforms, big data databases, et cetera. So modern standards would be a third area. And I think those are really kind of the top 3 areas where we heard customer feedback that we've been focused on. And we've got a release coming up, 9/7, this coming fall, that is focused squarely on those 3 areas.
Okay, thanks. Turn just for just a moment here now to Matt. You're relatively new with us. I think you're about 3 months or so in role. First of all, tell us a little bit about where you came from, and then tell us what's going on with 9/7.
Okay, so so my history is mostly in the field, which is around selling and deploying our software. I've been on some of the largest deployments that we have, both from before the sale as well as after the sale. Solving issues and basically helping out with not just the product, but also a lot of the big performance issues of the day. So I recently left a role where I was in charge of North American pre-sales for our service assurance product line, which includes APM, NIMSoft, infrastructure management, things like that. I came back to APM because over the years I had different roles where I studied the market, studied the competition, and have kind of built up a perspective over time of how people actually use these tools and what they're really for and how we could drive things forward. Now, specific to 9.7, I'm very excited about the APM 9.7 release, specifically because, as you'll hear from James, James and the leadership team have spent a great deal of time changing the way that we build software and modernizing that approach, as well as increasing the velocity. I'll let him talk about that when he's ready. But what I'm excited about 9.7 is that we're finally starting to see some of the fruits of that work. For those of you that have been longtime customers, we recently had a call with a big analyst firm, and they told us that we had we're delivering more new feature functionality in the 9.7 payload than any of our competitors, and then more importantly than he's ever seen from CA in the history of this product line, which is quite a while. So I'm very excited about that, and I guess we'll get more into specifics as we move along.
Thanks, Matt. James, turning to this velocity concept that's come up a couple of times already, what specifically are you instituting to make this ship move faster?
Yeah, a few things. You know, it's interesting. I come from my previous role. I was at a SaaS startup. We were about. I joined a company when it was $50 million. A similar role as a general manager over a couple of the product lines. We grew to about $2 billion in valuation. Oracle acquired us, and so coming from that, if you will, that high growth environment, and coming to CA. We've got a lot of great things at our disposal. We've got some fantastic talent. We have a product that has a lot of strength and scale to it. Definitely can do better in some of those areas. But a couple of headwinds that the team was facing is, you know, things like our locations. If you look at our location model, we were in 20 locations, 60-plus home offices, and it's pretty hard to achieve your potential in terms of creativity and innovation when you're that geographically dispersed. It's hard when you have a team working on a feature and they're spread across 4 continents and different time zones. It's difficult. So we restructured. We went to a co-location model. We've moved down to 5 locations. Every single location has a charter. That charter, for instance, CEM sits right here in Santa Clara. Every day, you know, product managers, designers, engineers, QA, et cetera, everybody who works on that product comes into the same office. They sit in the same location. They have large television screens with information about the product, whether it's wins, whether it's escalations or defect rates. All of that is there concentrated in a single location. It creates this sense of ownership. Also, when it comes to creativity, you know, you can't schedule it inside of a meeting, right? A lot of it happens at 5:30 and, you know, at the break room, and a couple of people are having a conversation. Those are a couple of things we've done. We've replaced our tool chain. We've pared down the code quite a bit. Without giving up features, we've consolidated the code by about 65%, 65% smaller, more efficient.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's going to allow us to move faster. Those are a couple of the examples. You know, we reduced our build times by over 95%. That hits 200 engineers. So I feel really good about that restructuring that we've done. That took about 6 months while we were revamping our strategy and getting our priorities set straight.
Great, thanks. You also talked about making, you know, things easier to use and so on, and we've certainly heard you talk quite a bit about design. Tell us a little bit about the focus that you're giving that area.
Yeah, I actually feel like this is an area where when I first joined and did some studying on the APM market, you guys on the team know this about me, I'm not really that interested in competitors. It's important in any market that you're in to understand what they do. I'm much more interested in our users and our customers. But prior to joining, I did look at a number of different products, and I actually feel like design and usability is something that is a challenge across all products in this market. I don't think that they do a really good job. Some are prettier and maybe easier to use than others, but you know, these are applications that basically dump metrics and charts, to steal one of Matt's terms from the other day. They dump metrics and charts on people with some drill down capabilities that to help you get a vector into the code, and that's important and that's good, but they don't necessarily help like a frontline, you know, level 1 support person, right? Instruct that person where to go, to be much more helpful in guiding and finding problems. And I think there's a big opportunity to bring really good design combined with some IP, like machine learning, et cetera, in which we can really move the APM problem forward and make it much more effective. And so we carved out design out of engineering. That's an organization model from 10 years ago. It reports directly to me. We've hired a new head of design. That person, Kevin Mackey, is hiring visual designers, interaction designers. He's going to hire a full-time researcher. We just recently completed our first interaction design research project. That's going to start coming into the product over the next 12 months. And we're ramping up that team, and I think there's, like I said, I think there's a great opportunity to bring modern web design, modern interaction design that's on the web, that's on mobile devices, and to bring that into the APM problem to make it more effective.
I was on the other side of the phone right now. I'd think, wow, this is really great. But the first question that I would have would be, super, tell me when. When are we going to see these things? Can you comment on that?
Yeah. Well, we just finished the research project. We've just finished working through where we're going to direct. That's a better way of saying it. We just finished, if you will, our design vision for what the new information architecture looks like, the new interaction model, the new visual design and styling. We've just finished. We're just wrapping up that project. So we've got our 9.7 release coming out. We'll see the first parts of that in 9.7, which comes out in December, in a new feature called the Agent Command Center, which is, again, focused on total cost of ownership. It's a feature where you can see every single agent across your entire environment in a single page, search, filter, look at any of your agents. Eventually, you'll be able to do all your configuration and upgrades of your agents right from that single page. But the new design vision starts to emerge there and then continues in our 9.8 release and moving into 2016. But it won't be a shift. We won't just rip and replace our user interface. Over a number of releases, we'll migrate to this new interaction model.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Mark, I don't want to leave you out of this. You are on the other end of the West Coast here. So James is talking about these things that are coming down the pipe pretty soon. Would you mind speaking for a couple of minutes on how customers in the community can get involved and see these things before they're publicly available?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. So ultimately, right, so if you're interested in a lot of these new upcoming features, we have a customer validation program that most of you are aware of. You can use our community groups to be able to sign up for some of our programs. We have a registration site. I think Chris will be sharing that in the upcoming slides here, where you can sign up for our private community and be part of some of these end-of-sprint demos, end-of-sprint reviews that we are having with some of these, all of our end users and customers today, where firsthand you'll be able to see some of these features being developed, provide early feedback, and ultimately changes, right, work with these feature teams to be able to impact some of these changes directly in the product prior to delivering some of these features. So certainly welcome the feedback. You see some of the links here available. So please, if you're interested in some of the features, we will be publishing some of the features on our communities, and you can engage directly with some of our product owners and feature teams to be able to review some of these features.
Okay, thanks, Mark. So there's a couple of URLs here. They're short links so that you can hopefully jot them down very quickly. If you're not yet involved, we want to get you guys involved in the process, preferably to invite you inside the factory. And so there's a beta program we'd love to see you sign up for. Please take a moment, jot those things down. Just a quick note, kind of like Mark was talking about, once you get into so there's the community side. Manish was talking about the new Jive platform, much improved platform. Within that community, there's a sub-community referred to as a group for the beta access. And each user will need to sign up individually for that. So if you have multiple users in your organization who are interested in things, they'll need to each sign up through that process. And if you just jot down the links here, it's a relatively simple and straightforward process. And then we would love to share with you the things that we're working on right now, as well as those things that are coming in the future.
And Chris, the one thing I want to add, if you've already signed up for a beta program, this will continue to move forward. We will be adding you to this new site for the 9.7 release and the upcoming release. You don't have to re-sign up for the program. So if you've signed up for it, you should be added to the group shortly.
Thanks. Yes, good point for those who were involved previously. My slides are a little bit out of order here, but let me show you one more before we move into open Q&A. And that has to do with the bigger program that Mark was talking about. As we get ready to roll out the 9.7 release, the Customer Validation Program, or CVP, as you see here, is a relatively straightforward program, but it's a part of this beta community, if you will, where you'll have access to things and get involved. I wanted to show you the dates so that you can understand what we're really asking from you as the community. The first phase that we're going to be opening up actually begins this next week, and we'll run through the first part of October. And that's the part where you'll get to see the feature demos, you'll get to provide feedback on code that's really very fresh. The second phase then begins in the middle of October and will run through the end of November, and that's the hands-on testing portion. That's where you want to get the code into your environment, watch it run in real-world situations on a variety of different platforms, versions, applications, and so on, so that we can ensure when this thing releases that we know and have a high confidence level that what we're giving to you will both make a difference to you and also will be safe in your environment. Okay, I think that's it for now. Let's move over to open Q&A. Manish, did you have a few questions to start with?
I had submitted a couple of questions. I'll start off with one, and this is, as a customer as well. Can the product group provide a, quote unquote, behind the scenes look or a peek on how they work on next release, or what drives them? For example, the top 3 things, and how you guys gather that. And I know it's a big open-ended question, so do the best you can.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question, Manish, because this is James Harvey speaking, by the way. Glad you asked the question because we're changing how we've done that from the past, and bringing in a new philosophy. A couple of things that we're doing. I'm going to give just a tiny bit of background, and then I'm going to go into the how we plan to work with customers, because there's going to be multiple points in which customers can begin working more directly with the product team. First, we're trying to move away from an old practice of product management, which is, I'll call it requirements-driven engineering or requirements-driven development. That's basically a model where that most software companies here in the Silicon Valley practice, where you sit down and you interview your buyer, because that's who a software company generally has a relationship with, is the buyer. You interview your buyer, and the buyer has aggregated requirements from their users, and they're handed to a product manager, and the product manager synthesizes those, and they get feedback from their sales organization, consulting, they talk to analysts, et cetera. They write requirements. Those get translated into functional and technical specs. You guys know the software development lifecycle. And eventually, though, you bring in a group called UX to make it usable. And what we're trying to move away from that. Not purely. We'll still have the concept of requirements, but what we're trying to get to is more of what's called an ethnographic-driven development process. And what that means is we're trying to get much closer to our actual users. And we'll talk to both our customer and our users, but it's important for product teams to realize that those are 2 separate audiences. And so what we're doing is we're actually doing a lot of on-site research with our customers. So we just finished a research project that I alluded to earlier, where we interviewed over 80 of our users across 25 customers. By the way, we'll be doing this every single month of every single year. We'll send a designer and a product manager on site. We like to sit down with both our customer, our buyer, if you will, usually someone who owns monitoring tools or processes. But we also want to sit down with the actual users in the work environment, whether it's at a cube or whether it's in a NOC, sit down with them and watch how they use the product, understand some of the challenges that they're having, go through some of the problems that they're trying to solve, and we take that information and we synthesize it. As we synthesize that information, we are looking at opportunities that come out of that synthesis and out of that research. We then share that information with our customer advisory board. We will be starting to share that information with our community. We'll start to identify research areas that so we'll have some research areas, we'll publish those. We will, customers can let us know which ones they want to participate in with us. We'll then also look at the ideation that's coming in from our customers. I think, Chris, you're going to talk about that in a little bit, the ideation.
Yep.
We look at that's coming in from our customers. So the combination of the research and the ideation, we take in a couple of other areas. We're going to get better about publishing that, the areas that we're researching, the areas then that we take from research that we're going to start to scope into a release. We're going to publish it. the broad research areas, customers can self-select and say, hey, I'd like to participate. Can you please work with us as you're researching that area? We will work with those customers. We'll then publish our top 100 list, top 50 or top 100 list of features coming in through ideation. Then what we'll do is we move into scoping the release. We're going to carve out a certain capacity for working on feature requests coming in from our customers through ideation. We'll have part of that capacity on things like our research that's coming in. Part of our capacity every single release is going to be improving usability. So we have certain investment areas. And as we scope a release then and publish it, then we'll move into our design process and our requirements or our specifications. We want to also then have a checkpoint with our customers before we start building, and we'll do all of this through the community. Before we start building, we want to start to publish our specifications and designs, have a WebEx review of it, have customers give feedback on it, incorporate that into our design. The cheapest place to make a mistake is on paper. So we want to flesh out any of the areas or the areas where we might miss in a design while it's still on paper. Then we'll move into build, and eventually we would like to get to a place where at the end of each sprint, because we have multiple sprints as we're working on a release, at the end of each sprint we can do a customer demo. I think it's going to be a while before we get there, probably a year. But at least by the end of the release then we'll have another checkpoint with customers, or maybe somewhere before we wrap up Code Complete, we'll have another review of working code with customers for feedback. And then, of course, we'll give a pre-GA demo of the products. So I think there's a number of checkpoints in there where customers can work with us, whether it's our customer advisory board, whether it's looking at our research areas and volunteering to participate with us in those areas, whether it is the ideation that drives our top 100 list that we'll work on every single release, reviewing specifications, and then also seeing demos of working product and giving feedback. I think there's a number of areas where customers can plug into the process, and we want that. We're trying to encourage it. We need more feedback. I want to see us get to a place where we can, a product manager can have is working with an engineering team, a Scrum team, a question comes up, the product manager may not know the answer, they can go to the community, publish the question, and we can get 50 responses within a few hours. And I've had that before in a previous role. It makes for better product that meets the needs of our customers when we get that type of participation. We'll run all of that through our community. Matt, anything to add?
Actually, so James's answer was quite comprehensive, so I'll add one piece to that, is that one interesting thing about switching to a more ethnographic type of or user-centered design process is that instead of asking what you would like, we're instead studying how you do your job and trying to figure out what you'll need next, right? So one of the interesting things about that, as James said, there's a huge amount of inclusion in through the community. So obviously you've all signed up, but then beyond that, we're actually trying to move into what we call our blue ocean thinking, which is a line from a book a while back. But basically what it says is, we're trying to go places that you haven't even thought of, and I think when you look in the release after 9.7, I think you'll start to see some of those ideas come to fruition. So our hope is not only to just meet what you're asking for in the community side, but also to find something in each release that is truly delightful and is kind of moves the state of the art forward in a way that no one's anticipated.
Okay.
Regarding the ideation process, and we'll come back to questions in just a moment, here's a screenshot of what the community looked like just yesterday, a list of top ideas. There are actually, I think, several hundred that are out there. And if you're not aware of the program, you have the opportunity to vote on those ideas. And as you vote those ideas, they boil up to the top. Once they hit a certain threshold, then they kick a notification into the product management team, where we then will begin to prioritize those and work those into our backlog. And as James mentioned, each release going forward is going to have a certain amount of capacity that's devoted specifically to those ideas. So you've got a direct path into really seeing what things you want to have inside the product. If you haven't been out to that site, it is on the new Jive platform. There's a bit.ly link there that'll get you straight to the location because the URL is quite long. But if you just remember CA_APM_ideation, that will take you out to a screen just like you see here. Manish, you have another question?
Oh, great. Thanks for your feedback, guys. That was quite comprehensive. So a couple of things based on your answers so this activity that you guys are doing every month, going to customer site, do you guys have anything that you guys can put on the site I wouldn't say like a progress report, but more like, success stories or challenges and what are some of the goods and the bads. So that way the community members have, so-called a sneak peek on what you guys are doing. I know your ideation is great. I think that does definitely drive information and whatnot, but I think, a constant update would definitely help so people can keep up with it, if they want to, on the community webpage, and maybe, something they might read on that progress report, it might trigger them saying, oh, this definitely applies to me, and they can chime in.
That is a really good question. I appreciate the way that you posed it.
And
so, as you would recognize, the answer to that question involves going into a place that we wouldn't just invite anybody, because it involves recognizing and sharing ideas that we're working on, which potentially could be taken. So the answer to the question is that yes, we want to have that level of collaboration, and it will occur inside of the beta community that we mentioned a few minutes ago, so the beta group on the community site. Every member you're all invited to go there, so there's no kind of gating as to who gets to go there and who doesn't. You have to go through the sign-up process, and then there is obviously a strict NDA once you're in there. Once in, then those are exactly the kind of things we want to share with you. We want to tell you what we're working on. As James was mentioning, if we have a question coming out of some kind of a design session, we want to come to you and have that answer before the end of the day. Not just a weekly or monthly kind of a blog post update in there, but a more regular back and forth dialogue. We're intending to get that group, the group exists now. You can actually go up and sign up for it right now. We're intending to get more content into it over the course of the next couple of weeks. One of the things I wanted to get done, I just haven't had time to set up right now, is the scheduling of a couple of sessions where you can see what's in the 9.7 payload and begin to give us some feedback on those features as they get created. Then you'll continue to see the dialogue in a more back and forth, let's call it a more synchronous format, as opposed to a post only. When you talked about the ideation side of the house, that's a great place for community members to give us ideas as to, hey, I need you to go and look at this thing, the way that you built it isn't so great, or I need this automated report functionality, or whatever it might be. That's a different dialogue, and that one is on the public side of the community, by the way. Whereas on the beta side of the house, we have an opportunity to speak with more details and have more of that back and forth dialogue.
Okay, good. That's good information. Before I continue, I wanted to ask Kristen. Kristen, could you please go ahead and open up the audio for questions that the participant might have, attendees might have?
Ladies and gentlemen, to ask an audio question, please press star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad.
Thank you. I'm going to hold on to see if other people would like to have any more questions before I kind of dump all mine on you guys all at one time.
We have a question from the line of Scott Fleming.
Yes, good morning.
Hey,
I'd like to ask what plans are on the roadmap for increasing the scalability and capacity of the APM cluster?
Hey, Scott, thanks for joining. Thanks for your question. So one of the items that we're looking into as part of our 9.8 and beyond release, so to say the release after next, is looking at a new architecture that will we're looking at ways we can kind of migrate our architecture to solve some of the scalability issues. Now, in the near term, there are actually solutions available, things like cross-cluster data viewer and some what we like to call the summary mom or cluster data reporter. So there are some temporary solutions or near-term solutions to that problem, and then sort of long-term we're reassessing our architecture. I can't really get into the details of it right now because it's a very complex thing that kind of will be done in stages. But I would say that one of the problems that kind of goes hand in hand with solving the cluster problem is also sort of moving up and looking at new ways to visualize the data. So it's not just a matter of getting the data into a data repository. It's also kind of what do you do when you get there? You know, what kind of new visualizations would be there? So I think that if you want to see some of the fruit of that labor, I know you're probably asking a tactical question, so I'll give you a strategic answer and a tactical answer. If you want to see some of kind of how we're thinking about it and what's involved, we'll be having some data coming out from the product management group that'll show kind of a click-through demo of how we're thinking about this and what kind of new methodologies we'll be using on the user interface side. But from a more tactical standpoint, you know, I think that you'll start to see some of those things in the release after 9.7.
Scott, did we answer your question okay? His line might be back on.
Yeah, his line may be back on mute. Okay.
Let's see if we have any more audio questions.
We have a question from the line of Aaron Ritter.
Hey, Aaron. Good morning or good afternoon.
Afternoon, actually. Soon evening. I have just, input and question with regard to the idea section. The input from my side would be the idea section is only as good as its user. I'm working for UBS, which is a huge company, and one thing I realized as an APM expert in a company is you actually have to make, you need to promote the community within your company. So not only you as an APM expert is using the community and especially as well the idea section, but as well your local company, your community within the company is actually joining that community and contributing in that, or even just reading about questions or reading about ideas coming up and then contributing to them. And the second thing is the idea section has a little bit, I think, one problem, which is there are many ideas who are similar or go into the same topic, but then the relations between those ideas are missing. And I have created some idea entries which I then manually linked to each other, basically saying, well, you have here 5 different ideas for your garbage collector and memory monitoring. Why don't you put that into one release or whatever? But that's just from my side. So the question is, what do you want to do to make that idea? The idea section basically gets useless if many people post ideas which are not related to anything, even if they are.
Aaron, that is a really great topic you just opened up for us. Yes, there are indeed quite a few items that are out there. I think you've identified a good action item for us. What we'd like to do is to work together with the board on the community to go through a grooming process on those ideas, to close those that are duplicates, to link those that are related to each other, and to really merge them together into probably what are going to be more cohesive concepts than just a specific tactical thing that maybe one idea is looking for. If the board would be willing to do that, I think we could make a lot of progress on coming up with a better set of ideas that ultimately people don't have to go through 400 of.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, from as James alluded to, one of the things that we're doing as part of our release planning is really allocating capacity to actually solve some of these issues that are popping up there. So this is a higher priority for us because we want to make sure we're spending our development dollars on things that will actually help. So we'll have a follow-up with that. Thank you, Aaron.
I've noted that as an action. Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron. Any more audio questions?
We have no further audio questions.
Anybody from the board? Keith or Mary or Ashish, anyone? Oh, sorry to call you guys out, but if not, then I have a couple of other questions. A couple of guys that I work with, they have a couple of questions. So one of the things, and this might be a bit more technical, Mark or Matt, so let me know if you want to take it offline, we can. As you know, the 9X, especially the pre-9.6, the presentation and the GUI is quite cumbersome, and it seems a bit, bit of a work when it comes to customizing. And to give an example, like, doing any kind of agent change or agent tweaking, having a GUI would definitely enhance the usability for this product to great lengths. And having that to make not just agent changes, but also other things to customize it, to add customization and whatnot, would definitely go a long way. So I guess the question is that in the roadmap coming down in the near future?
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually a great question for us. One of the big focus areas that we have been targeting is reducing the total cost of ownership of the solution across the board. Now, you might have seen that in the 9.6 release around smart instrumentation, but specific to your question, we actually have created something called the APM Command Center that we're currently testing and prototyping and iterating on, and it provides a user interface, a web user interface, or more importantly, a modern web user interface that is tied to the user research that we've done, that provides a state-of-the-art view into all of your agents from one console. Now, we're sort of negotiating exactly what the first version of this will do, but what we know for sure is that it'll give you visibility into all the agents in your environment across clusters. One of our test environments has 5,500 agents, and we're able to view all of them from one, we call it the ACC, or APM Command Center. What I would invite you to do is, this is really one of the exciting things that we'll be showing off at CA World. As we do the end of sprint reviews on the community site, that also will be interesting, but I encourage you to, if you're attending CA World, and if you're not, then you probably should. It'll be fun for those that are that follow APM. We'll be showing that off in more detail, and I think you'll like what you see.
And Matt, what is the so that comes out in 9.7. You're going to be able to see all your agents, but what's the vision of that? So because I think the short answer, or not short answer, the direct answer or the direct response is we totally agree. We want to make the configuration of our agents, the administration of our agents, the upgrade of our agents much easier. So what's the vision of the Agent Command Center?
So the APM Command Center, we're starting with solving the problem that you referenced around visibility into the agents and being able to make changes on the agents, kind of policy-based, kind of wide scale. But the greater vision is that we want our solution to be so simple and so easy to upgrade that no one is editing PBD files, that the upgrade process is click button, or click a button and it upgrades our agents. So we have to, now that's a goal. We'll get there in pieces along the way. But the objective of the APM Command Center is that from a single console, and again, eventually, what we'd like to be able to do is where you can say, okay, I want to jump from 9.6 up to 10.0, whenever that is, or 9.9, or whatever the next version may be. And it will go and upgrade not only the agents, but also the environments like the clusters and enterprise managers. Now, it's going to take us a while to get there. We may not, we want to try to tackle as much of that as we can, but that's the long-term vision, to take all of the administration out of both upgrading and modifying the tool itself.
And it starts in 9.7.
And it starts in 9.7. If you're at CA World, you will probably like what you see around that.
Thanks. Any more audio questions?
As a final reminder, to ask an audio question, please press *1. We have no audio questions.
Okay. So I'll continue from my previous questions that you guys answered on the ideation part, which probably kind of rolls into my second question, and I can post it. So based on that ideation and a customer interaction, how can we encourage more collaboration between CA and APM product team and users of APM, CA and the users of APM? Like, a thought would be opening up some kind of a collaboration channel using community site or what have you.
So this is Chris again. The collaboration answer actually takes a couple of forms. First and foremost is through the community channel that we were talking about earlier. That's to have a more regular dialogue with you, the board, the entire community, and to make sure that it's a meaningful interaction for both of us. We've all been a part of communities where you sign up and you get the emails and you set up the rules and they go to a folder and you never really look at them because they just don't provide that much value or there's too much noise in it. So we want to make sure that we're providing that right level of value. I do think that the Jive platform, if you haven't taken a solid look at it, has lots of capability and configurability to make it so that you can look at the data and the interactions there in a way that works for you. There's a mobile app for it. If you haven't yet looked at it, please go out and take a look at it. You can pull it down for iOS or Android, and you get the mobile app for Jive, and then you just log in with your CA community credentials, and it will pull it all in. The other thing that you can do is set up what things you're getting emails on, whether you want them in digest and so on, and all of that. I mean, I realize that that's easy stuff, but taking the time to really go up, set that stuff up, make sure that your profile is configured so that we know who you are when you're interacting with us, those things all matter. The second side of your question, you didn't really ask it.
And that matters because there are a lot of times when we might be designing even a feature for a particular type of user, and we might want to reach out to those users, those are that particular role, and ask them a question, just as an example, right?
Exactly. So if you've just got your username with some hokey avatar up there or nothing at all, you know, some of us fall into that category, please take a moment and fill that information in. We want to know who you are. We fully intend to be reaching out and interacting more regularly with you. In addition, as James mentioned, we've got plans to actually go out and visit with customers on site because a lot of what we're doing is actually observing you working in your quote-unquote native environment, if you will. Manish, the other side of your question, you didn't ask it, but I feel like it's a strong follow-on. It's just the greater concept of collaboration. There's collaboration between the product team and the community. There is also collaboration that needs to occur inside of the product between, as you mentioned earlier, I think it was Aaron, mentioning that we have to align within a customer organization. You are the champion. You are the APM expert. You are encouraging others to participate in it. And within the APM tool itself, we have to create a collaborative environment that lets you, first and foremost, solve problems more quickly so that you're getting value from the tool, but also that encourages people who are not APM experts to participate in that process. That is a large part of this design review and this design process that we're going through that Matt and James have referred to. It's not just that we're going to build a better widget. You want chart comparison, let's say, and yeah, we can go out and build that for you. There's things that we're working on in that space, but to just deliver you a feature that does a certain thing with a widget isn't good enough. The focus that we're really going to just be not compromising on the product going forward is to make sure that the things that we're building are indeed easy to use, that they capitalize on the new technologies and they look pretty and all of those. That's all table stakes, I think. But to make sure that the features that we build are in an automatic collaborative nature that lets non-APM experts interact with the tool, get value from it, be directed from it, to capitalize on what was done previously, for example, to draw upon information that is outside the APM system to enrich that experience and tell you what you should do next. All of these kinds of things are a part of collaboration. Certainly it's not talking about the community, but it's talking about using collaboration as a tool to enable APM in the bigger space. And that is one of our top priorities.
Yeah, that's definitely will be a huge help, you know, something within the tool that they can quickly just click and send it off, and that can get, you know, as a collaboration or whatnot. So that would definitely help. I have, I think, one more question left, and we're also coming up on the top of the hour. So.
And Manish, we have a question also in Q&A. Just letting you know.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, we have a question from Johan Taljard, or Taljard, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. The question is, why was APM and ADA end user experience split in CA? Would be good if the same user interface could be used to view the results of the different tools.
Yeah, well, we agree.
Next question.
Yes, excellent question. Moving on. No, this is actually a really good question and one that has come up a number of times. So the real answer to why is it this way is because ADA was the result of an acquisition of a technology called NetQoS. It's an excellent technology, and we have worked on integration, but you know, it's obviously on a different platform. Now, as we kind of move forward, there's a couple things to understand about ADA and then our plans for it. Just so everybody on the phone knows, what we're referring to, ADA is called Application Delivery Analysis, and it is a network monitoring tool. It pulls packets off of a network stream, and so it has some commonality with our own CEM, or Customer Experience Manager. So what I would say to this is that ADA typically is focused on the network use cases, and so it probably will always have some difference in user interface, but we currently are looking at ways to bring those two things together tighter and make the integration more seamless. Another aspect of that is that CA is putting together some common standards around its user interface as we move forward, especially as we talk about things like software as a service and replatforming. So I think that that is definitely an initiative to us. I don't think that you'll see anything in the very near term around it, but we're definitely thinking about it and making some improvements there.
So is it possible, you know, from an architecture and from a technical perspective, to possibly down the road combine CEM with ADA as one product?
It's possible, but one of the things that's going on in the infrastructure management business unit, so the ADA product is part of our infrastructure management portfolio. I think what's sort of the bigger question is how does APM kind of cozy up to the infrastructure management products a little bit more. I don't know that you'll ever see ADA and CEM built into the same architecture and platform, because they're sort of different things. ADA is focused at the network user, but as the infrastructure management and APM both iterate on their architecture and platforms, I think you'll see it. We're sort of cozying up to each other and getting closer and closer. It kind of gets into, and you'll see more of this at CA World, the focus on DevOps for CA, or what we're calling Ops Center. What it basically means is blurring some of the lines between development and blurring some of the lines between development and operations to enable faster deployments. So anyway, that's kind of marketing speak, but the short answer is that, yeah, you'll see some of those things come together, but I don't think our plans are to make them one product necessarily.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks, guys, for your input. I just have one last question. Do we have any more audio questions, Christine?
Yes, we actually have a question from the line of Heiko Davis.
Hey guys, yeah, I guess disclosure first. Of course, I am a CA employee, but I'm coming into this, you know, not only as a community member, but as a member of CA. So, first and foremost, when can I go to CA World? Which will be never, I guess, now that I'm in services. But couple things that were brought up. One, I just saw just a few minutes ago. There was a question about the turnaround on some of these ideation questions in relation to, you know, how we can get to these in a timely manner. There was a question about there's some features that were being under review for a long time, and they're asking about why is it taking so long to resolve these things. Another thing that I was asked to bring up was relation to the startup of a developer-type community within APM. So if you could kind of address those, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Hiko, this is Matt. Hey, first off, I want to thank you for all the help that you provide our customers on the community side. I know you're a very active participant, and we actually we're paying a lot more attention to the community site and really appreciate all the answers that you provide people. Now, I think this is related to one of the, I saw a comment going on the community around GitHub and putting some of our stuff into GitHub and have kind of a developer community. Is this kind of an extension of that conversation, Hiko?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'll let Chris answer sort of how we're, how we're improving the grooming process as well as paying more attention to those things. What I'd say is that I think you've seen some fall off in our participation in the community, more specifically around actually accomplishing some of the ideas on there and really being able to listen. And some of that's come from some of the development changes that James has talked about. We had to slow down a little bit in order to speed up. The good news is that we're speeding up dramatically now. And as we said before, actually next week we're going to be going and making some decisions about what goes into the release, and part of that is our capacity will be going towards solving some of these issues that are on the community site. So I think that's one concrete answer as to how we're actually paying attention and really making progress there. As far as how we improve the process, I'll hand it over to Chris for that.
There's a dialogue right now underway about creating a developer-focused sub-community, which has a different dialogue. It's not just tell me about this feature or how do I get my cluster to work better, the kinds of questions that often are part of the primary community. Perhaps, Hiko, let me change your question just a little bit, and forgive me if it's not accurate, then correct me. Part of what we're seeking to accomplish here when we talk about communities is that the group that's on the phone right now, the people that are actively participating in the community are APM administrators. They're worried about making sure that the tool works as well as possible, but very often they're not the day-to-day users of the tool, or from what was spoken about earlier, as you're trying to evangelize and get the solution more adopted throughout your organization, the barrier is that there's usually only one or two of you, and there may be dozens or hundreds of developers, operations folks, and so on in the organization. What we need to do is actually pivot, and we need to have the community be more focused or equally focused on, choose your choice there, on those people, on not just how do I enable a feature, but how do I analyze this data? What's the next step? Hey, when you had a problem like this, what methodology did you use to build the best dashboard? What kind of alerts are you running? How are you tuning your application and with smart instrumentation taking away most of the pain? Making sure that the interaction there is more about the day-to-day consumption of the data rather than the production of it. And so and that touches upon kind of a developer community where certainly you could create extensions and we could work together and collaborate on that. But equally, it's about ensuring that there's a place where a new APM user can go where he feels that, like he can ask those questions that frankly some of us might consider, while we're on mute as the quote-unquote dumb question, because those are things that you've known for many years. Did I take your question too far sideways?
No, I think that it addresses that need, because it's being, it's coming from a customer standpoint, which I was for many years. That's always been one of the hardest things to deal with is, as you're new coming into the product, or if you've been with the product for a while, how can I get support from CA and other folks who are more knowledgeable or have inside knowledge information about APIs and things like that that could help me develop a feature that I need within my organization. And just real quickly, just to mention, the Jive app for Android does not work currently. They're working on that.
Okay, thanks. Manish, back to you.
I think we're almost out of time, so I'll put my question up there, and if you don't have a chance to, we can take it offline or do it via email. My last question was, is there a way of CA to have a champion implementation webcast like once a quarter on how well APM solution worked at a customer side? This would probably be focused on a CA services and not so much on a product group. That's my guess.
Before I hit that, it sounds like there's one more audio question that we want to get handled before folks need to drop.
Okay. Kristen, is there any more audio questions?
We do have a follow-up question from the line of Aaron Ritter.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah, once again, Okay. First, you just addressed before that you want to have real users into your community. So you suspect that most of the users are actually APM experts rather than users. Maybe the statement earlier wasn't clear enough for me, but I think every APM expert needs to take his local community in his local company and put them into the community. You need to be able to push that within your community to join it. I personally will leave, for example, my company within a month roughly, and one of the biggest goal I try to do is educate them and then educate them how to help themselves. And the biggest part will be the community. They need to go there. It's not me as an expert who needs to be there, because an expert has more contacts than that, maybe direct contacts to product managers and stuff like that. But every single APM expert needs to go into his community and get them on there. With regards to the developer section or the Jira question, you really need to be careful for what it's for. Is it for field packs and APM EPA extensions or things like that? Or is it something to contribute to general code for the agent? And you really need to think about what is it for, and don't get it out of hand, have it structured. And you talked a lot about features and how easy some of them are being implementable, but you never. My feeling is, as soon you ask a fundamental question, it's maybe heard, but you never hear anything from it back. If you want the community to contribute, you need to deliver tooling to actually be able to contribute. The BCI files, the PBD files are one way to contribute, and writing extensions for EPA is a way to contribute. But the way you write your tooling and the way you make those new things you were talking about. You said you create new things and this takes time. We never hear from it. We don't hear about what's the next big thing you want to do. Why is a different question, but I don't know. I don't know how I should explain this to you, but somehow as soon you ask fundamental things to CA, it seems like going into a black hole. It's working somehow, but you don't know what's happening. You don't know whether the idea is taken or whether it's completely wrong or whatever. All the small features, they work because everyone understands them, but as soon you want, or the thing you want is big changes, you don't get anything from it.
Okay. All right. So I think we're out of time, but let me just hit the last one and the last point you've made. This is James speaking, by the way. I don't dispute what you've said. You know, that if there hasn't been a lot of feedback, that there's a black hole. Frankly, I think most users and customers feel like their software vendor's a black hole. I've heard that at other companies before as well. If that's happened in the past, it's happened in the past. As I mentioned in the beginning, we're trying to get more transparent. The vehicle we're going to use is our community to get more transparent, to publish our research areas, to publish our make sure that the list of top customer requested enhancements, whether they're big or small, are published, and then to be very transparent about which ones we're working on and which ones are not. Like I said, we'll use the community to do that. We're also going to be a lot more transparent about, before we build something, putting our specifications out and our designs out to have customers have a chance to look at it and provide feedback on it. So I think you're going to see a lot more transparency. If you have some specific suggestions for us around the community and things tooling we could add into the community, we'd love to hear it. And I think we have Mary on the line, and she runs our community. So I think any suggestions, Mary, maybe you could provide a way for us to get feedback on the community in terms of the tooling that we have. Is there, Mary, are you available there?
Yes, I am. I can put my email address in here, and any suggestions can be posted directly in the community as well for others to comment on. So I've just posted my email address in chat, and we welcome all feedback.
Yeah, and also feel free to send to the community as well.
Yeah, we could even just open up a thread. We could just open up a thread, and people can exchange ideas there as well.
Okay.
We're quite a bit over, so let's hold off your question, and we'll pick it up in a future session.
Yeah, sounds good. Want to definitely thank the panelists. Thanks, guys, for all joining and providing the insight and all the updates. And thanks for the community member to join and ask questions as well. Appreciate from both sides. Thanks to Mary again, and also to Kristen for handling the calls. Hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you in the month of September. And please take a poll, quick, if you guys don't mind, quick take a poll before you exit the WebEx. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for participating in today's conference call. You may now disconnect.